And, of course, we'll light the 9 candles. And then maybe today I don't have to blow them out. Yesterday I forgot to blow them out.
Oh, gosh.
That's okay. I mean, I blew them out, but I didn't blow them out in front of people. So I hope they remember to blow theirs out, or they're going to have to find 9 more candles. Or 1 candle. Scott just got 1 big candle, so this will have to do.
Am I supposed to have a candle?
No, you don't have to. It's not required. Okay. I have the candles. I have the lighter.
Well, we are on.
We are on. Yes. We're going to see how many viewers we got. We got up to 70 yesterday.
Woo!
Which for me in the middle of the day, but see, by the end of the day I'll have several hundred, and that's... Hi, Juno, yay! Juno's usually one of the first one, and I think she sits there and waits for the big thing to start.
She's pretty cool.
Yes.
Have you ever talked to her? She's pretty cool.
I've not talked with her. We've emailed back and forth.
Yeah, she's a pretty cool person.
So Juno's in the house.
Whoa. Okay.
What? What were you doing? You were recording your...
No, I was going on my phone, going onto your channel, so that I can share that on my channel to let everybody know that we're here. Mm-hmm. And I forgot to turn down the volume. Oh,
yeah, that's always fun. I did finally learn how to use my other phone so I can show the candles. Yes. I can, when I'm doing lives, my second camera won't work. The one that I use when I read, when I can switch back and forth between the two. We're just chit-chatting about being a reader thing. Hello. Oh, Painter's here. And her I have spoken with. I've actually had her on my show.
All right, we are advertised.
Okay. Hello, ladies. I put it out there. I don't know if you saw the graphic that went with you, but it was the souls jumping up and all the rainbow colors coming into it. Oh. Because that's what we're talking about today is joy. Carolyn's here. Susie's here. Rich Sherman, hello. Juno's. Oh, somebody saying hi to Juno again. Anyway, today, as you know, we're doing the 9 candles. I'm going to light the candles and then turn that camera off so that you don't have... I mean, if you guys are watching us on a phone, this must be insane because there's 3 things here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to read the statement of what this 9 candles is about. In the new year, 2022, starting with the full moon, we light these candles to expand our visions, to give and receive heart-centered love of understanding in the coming times of change. Guide our hearts and our awareness to the most beneficial path, individually and collectively. Find balance through the movement of these frequencies, because our frequencies are changing like crazy. So, and today we're talking about the joy of going through this and being here for it and all that good stuff. So we're lighting up the candles. Day 1.
Your participant thingamajigger is showing.
My what?
Your participant, as on the live, it talks about participants 3. It's showing on the live somehow.
Well, I don't know. I'm my poor little trotted. It says that I actually have 17, so I don't know where it gets that funny number 3 from. I think that's who's there when it all heads off and starts. And I missed candle 1 because it's so teeny tiny. And today, if you've been lighting candles with me, today is the day where we don't have to blow them out. Now, yesterday I went away before I blew them out, but I did blow them out because they're like there. And as you know, the stone I picked this time, you get my hand in there. I burnt my wrist on those things. I got the Uper stone, if it'll show up. There it is. There it is. And this camera's very retarded for me. So, the Uper stone looks a little like just sort of a regular old piece of gravel that you might find in your alley or whatever. And if they'll show, I'll show it. It has selenite in it that glows. It's really hard to see. Let's see if I can do it up here. See if I do better up here. There's the Uper stone, and I am so bad. This is why I never made it in broadcast film, guys, because I'm not good at staging this stuff. But anyway, it's got, I think you see a little bit of gold shows up in that. That's from the selenite, and those are along the Lake Superior and Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and that's why they're called Uper stones, for UP. That's where the That's what, okay, I need to send you, I got to do this, send it to the remove, go. No, I don't want to connect to audio. Oh, I'm so good at this stuff. I really am. There we are. Okay. More. That's it.
There we go.
Put in waiting room. Okay.
Yay!
Not that the stones care, but I care. Anyway, thank you, Sheila, for showing up on the day of joy.
Yes.
And I was telling Sheila that all kinds of synchronicities have happened in this. The whole show being about ley lines, dragon lines, and the shift in energy ended up being a thing. I had a whole different sort of goal planned, and then Saturday before we went up, I got a video of Rory Duff with his this year's understanding of ley lines and stuff. And I went, holy crap, because he started talking about group meetings. And I know several of us are doing it. You do it. You do meditations with your people. And really, sometimes I think readings we do with people are group readings, but are group meditations. But anyway, so I sent that on to Andrea and said, haha, look what you're doing. And one of the things I'm going to try and do, I'm really going to try to get Rory Duff. I really am.
That'd be awesome.
And talk to him about it. And also I found a couple of other sites, and I'm going to be talking more about them. But we're talking about the change in frequencies in our lives, which we all know is going on. And the reason I didn't start my new year till the full moon is because I had COVID over Christmas and didn't get over it until the first week of January, and I still am not really over it. But, I mean, I'm mostly over it. I occasionally have symptoms, and I go, is that just today, or is that COVID? I mean, this stuff makes you crazy. But the other synchronicity I got this morning, which I didn't expect to happen, so I opened up my Facebook page and I heard from my one and only cousin that I know that is still alive. She lives in Canada, and I have not seen her since I got married in 1971. But we do through Facebook keep contact, and her daughter's an artist and her son-in-law is an artist. So if you look below, you're going to find all this wonderful stuff about Kim Dewar and Shane Wilcox. And I've seen their artwork because she sends me, they do like whole walls and train stations, and they do wonderful little things, and like pictures of my cousin's great-grandson George when he was asleep. I mean, it's just the most charming picture. But they do all kinds of work, and so if you connect below, the reason I say now is an interesting time for them is they've decided to quit being the artist in the garret thing and go out into social media and learn how to make themselves grow. So they are a complete example of people putting themselves out there. It's something we all ought to be doing, or finding groups where we feel like we have a tribe. So they're welcome into my tribe now, even though they've kind of can't get out of it because Ancestry will find them. But so what's your kind of take on the time we're in? I know a lot of things are happening in the world that you follow more closely than I do, but
what is my take on the what?
Where the world's moving right now?
Where the world's moving right now? Well, right now we're in such a transition. We are in such a purging place, especially in our country and in our world. It's like making everybody decide, what do you really, really want? Mm-hmm. And I think that energy has been coming around for quite some time. I know 10 years ago I learned about what you really, really want, and make sure that you get on board with that. Mm-hmm. Don't hem-haw around about it. But you really need to get on. And I think that our country is at that point. What do you really, really want? Mm-hmm. What does America really, really want? What does the world really, really want? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I think that we're in that great big huge transition of purging what we don't want and going for what we do want. And
part of that, I think, is taking action. Because one of the things is we can sit there and stare at our navels all day. That's one of the reasons why I said in the opening statement what we're choosing individually and collectively. We have to understand where we stand affects the collective.
It does.
And, it's one thing to say, oh, the world ran over me, or this person did this, and so I'm still really pissed about it and stuff. You take your individual responsibility and then move forward.
I completely agree. I remember the moment I realized that my thoughts, my actions, and what I say is so incredibly important to not only me, but to the universe, energy, collectiveness. It really made me stop and go, whoa, I need to be very vigilant on switching over my thinking and my actions and what I speak out into the open. Because what my purpose is I don't want to do harm. I don't want to do harm to me or anybody around me, purposely, of course. You know, there's sometimes my decisions perceive as harm for somebody else, but I still have to be vigilant for me. And I have to be very, like, I cannot go out and spew hate and lies and this, that, and the other out there, and then expect to have great, wonderful life ahead of me. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
No, your thoughts manifest them. They become real. I mean, they're like a little wave, and then they become part of the material world.
Yes.
And that's something I really, really believe in. And there's some interesting stuff that's come out in physics, and that Rory also talks about how no one knew where the Big Bang came from. Supposedly everything shrunk into a point and then blew. Well, why? I mean, there was nothing in the field of relativity. If that's trust me, guys, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that they've never resolved how that happened. And now there's physicists who have done some studies, and they've been looked at the model, and we came from sound. We came from the beginning of sound, and it made the energy bump together, and then the energy became real, and then it grew and grew and grew. And that's how we grew out. Not some giant badass. I mean, it got big enough, it did kind of explode finally.
Of course, I mean, we have to preface this as this is all theory.
Yeah,
right?
We know.
Theory. This is another theory that they're producing
right.
for us to get closer to the truth. Yeah.
Right. And we need, and I know when we live in our world, we'd much rather look at the tower and figure out what it means, but we kind of need to start to connect and understand to the underlying energies. It's like the ley lines and the dragon lines. Some are electromagnetic, some are harmonic, some are sound. And it's not that you have to know that for any specific reason other than the fact that it can kind of help broaden what you're thinking about. So it's not just me where I am. It's people that are on the ley lines or the other connections that are going on around me, and that the earth is a living being. And we need to treat it not the way we've been treating it.
Well, of course not. We're making some mistakes here. However, we began with "I'm alive and it's dead" as a theory.
I know.
Therefore, we got off track really fast. And what we're trying to do is back that up, eliminate that thought, and get back on board that everything has energy and living and produces, it gives and takes just like we do. And that's where we need to get back on track about that. Just because you see a rock in the middle of a field, it looks like it's not alive, but it is. It's producing something, and it's producing and collectively contributing to this earth and to you, to everything. And if we really start focusing on that, everything that we come in contact with, just like with the Native Americans, they truly believe, like the tree people, all of the things that they communicate, rock people, feather people, all of it. They truly believe everybody has a contributing factor to what we are and who we are and how we behave in this world.
Yeah.
But when you eliminate that, that's where we cause problems. Is when we start eliminating that belief system or that action or that thought, and start disregarding the contributing factor. So, yeah.
Well, part of it is, when you start to think in these terms, for me at least, it gives me a sense of wonder. And that's okay. It gives you a sense of wonder and delight, and how thing creates thing, how my thoughts create different thoughts, how I put stones in a picture frame, And as Sheila will tell you, when I don't know what happens to me, but when I'm working with it, they tell me where they need to go, and they work. And they create an energy that you can feel. And I used to read cards. I've been reading cards since I was 12. And I would sit there and I would feel things with the cards, but not necessarily other things. But when I started working with the stones, like this whole other world opened up to me. Same things, study a discipline you're not used to, because it will expand you. Astrology, shamanism, all those things. Okay.
Hang on just 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm on my own. That was an unexpected fun thing. Okay, she's back. Okay. Gotta take care of them critters.
I know, like, please tell them to be quiet.
Oh, I had somebody who said, I heard someone running a microwave during one of your sessions. And I wrote her back and I said, yeah, and the 30-year-old running that microwave owns the house I'm in. So there are realities we have to adjust to every day.
We do live in a living home.
We do live, well, and we live in a living life. I wouldn't want to live in a life that was dull, dead, unknown. So, okay, every other reader that I talk to, not to put you under the gun, but their mode of reading and handling and managing their time has changed. Is yours changing?
What do you mean by that?
Well,
handling my time.
People are doing more mentoring rather than readings. People are doing more group things or book clubs or all that kind of stuff.
Well, I am still collectively doing political readings on my channel, of course. I'm also collectively getting more into helping with the voting rights and getting that information out there. So I'm starting to really kind of move a little bit towards pushing that kind of thing out there, information. Not that I know everything, but what I do know, I share. So I have that as well. And when I do my lives, I am absolutely available for everybody that is in my chat to interact with me, to help me out. Sometimes I see a vision that I don't understand. And I have a lot of my subscribers who say, hey, Sheila, this is what that sounds like, or this is what this looks like. And I go, yes. And so we collaborate that way and give it the energy. And because I know that I don't know everything. And I know that I don't understand everything that comes through. And that's the nice part about it, is I can admit when I am stumped or I don't understand, and that I can get that feedback, which is also what I perceive as, spirit speaking to me and to them. It's collective.
Sheila's political stuff is really, really good. And as y'all know, I don't do it much. I go on her show and I talk about the principles of working in politics, but not the personalities. But I will tell you, I will give you a reading. Now, I'm not going to do the reading on it, but before I retired from the world and came home to do COVID, I wouldn't do political readings on my table either, because I did one the night that the orange one was anointed to become whatever it is that he became. And it was horrifying, and I took the deck that I read it from and I destroyed the deck. It's the only deck I've ever destroyed in my life, because I never wanted those cards to be read again. It was that bad, guys. Anyway, so I just didn't read politics anymore. But before, in 2019, I have a really sweet little friend named Rob, and he had a booth. And he's really an excellent fashion designer. He's not just a sweet little friend. This guy's incredible. He used to design all of Debbie Reynolds' Las Vegas show costumes and stuff. I mean, he's really, really good. And he came up and he said, oh, I just have to know what's happening with this. Well, I said, okay, pick 4 names. I'm going to put 4 cards for each. And I'm going to tell you what I think's going on around them. And then you'll leave me alone, because I don't like reading this stuff. So he picked Trump, Giuliani, Pence, and Barr. And
some heavy hitters.
Yeah, and so Trump was, any reading you've ever heard about Trump was probably true. That was summed up in that. Pence was just a non-entity, and I saw he's going to skate. He's going to get out of this hole, but never in a position of leadership again.
Right.
And I saw Giuliani losing it completely and ending up in the home. And then Barr, and I said, you're really not going to like what I see about Barr. I said, Barr's already building his path out. He already knows how bad he's in it. And this was in 2019. He already knew how bad it was. When he walked out of there, he carried out with him stuff to save his own ass, and he didn't care about anybody else's.
100% agree with that.
Yep. And so when you were reading about him yesterday, this is not a new plan. He walked in there with this plan. That man he's smart, devious as hell, and not the sort of person.
He's a Gemini, so we cannot discount the fact that he's a Gemini. Intelligence comes with Gemini. And even though you are for the Dark Lord, which he was, he still has that intelligent aspect about him, which makes Dark Lord criminals even scarier. But yeah, he already knew. He knew what to do.
And his pulling out when he did, as long as he hung in there, realizing where they were headed, he should have said something. But that would have been the normal human reaction. But pulling out as late as he did, he made them have to scramble. And he made them have to reveal a lot of parts of this that weren't going to work. If he'd have been there pulling any of those levers, we'd be in a very different country.
Oh, I agree. I think it just wasn't in the cards for Trump to do what he was planning on doing. That is another energy that I want to really, really amplify on. But this country's energy said no. Therefore, it wasn't going to come true, and it didn't come true.
Sheila, you get to keep talking because I have to go answer my door. We have a leak in my ceiling, and the little men are here.
Go ahead and put it on mute.
Okay.
Don't forget the mute.
Okay.
There we go. Hi, everyone.
The Sheila Show. Okay.
Yeah, allowed Lancy to go take care of her home, right? How's everybody doing today? I really can't see how many people are in the chat. Oh, I guess there's 55 of you guys.
Yep.
She's back.
Yeah, and any noise you hear in the background is absolutely necessary because the ceiling that's leaking is in my shower. So
Oh, gotcha.
we don't have smell-o-vision yet on this yet, but we don't want to push it.
No. And that was what I was trying to come across as well, is our energy definitely helped with the outcome of him not succeeding. It helped with anybody that was involved, there was a lot of force, but there was more pushback of the energy of, no, you can't do this to us. So that's important to know.
And right now, if you want to put your energy anywhere, no is never a great place to put energy because it's not as secure. But I keep
want this instead of
right.
What we don't want. What we want.
I keep projecting out into the universe when I think about it. When I think about current events, that I will not be misled. I will see the truth. I don't care what you put up on that screen. I don't care how you report these stories. We will see the truth. And I'm actually, because I still stay in contact with the people I worked with in politics, that there's a whole lot of, sorry about that. I don't know if you heard it, but man, it was pretty loud. Tearing my shower apart. That we're in a time of a lot of, this is disinformation's last gasp.
Yeah.
And if you want to think about something positive, figure out how the power structure that's behind the media will get revealed.
Yes.
Because that's what we need. Then people can't hide behind the disinformation that they're constantly fed.
Correct. So what I think is what she's really talking about, and this is what I understand her to say, is when you guys are meditating and producing all of this energy out into the world, one thing you need to do is say, hey, I want the truth. Give me the truth. I am looking for the truth. This is where, and things like that. That'll help all of the truth and the energy of that truth come through. I want honest leaders. So that's what you do, is I want honest leaders. I attract honest leaders. I attract, that kind of thing. This is what she's talking about, is to bring that forward. And as many people and more people that we can get on board with that, we can definitely dominate, really, the energy fields with that kind of thing.
Someone asked a question, is Cinema dating someone in the GOP? Okay, first of all, this is my channel and I have a right to put things, but I will tell you what I know is happening to Cinema, and this is what I see whenever I go near that gooky energy. She's been crazy for a long time. She was with Nader. She was, when because of Nader's votes, we lost Al Gore as our president. She's been always on fringy little edges, and she barely beat out an opponent, a Democratic opponent in the primary, to run for that seat. She has someone's really interesting money behind her, but I will tell you what happens is when the other side gets fed up enough with it, it will make sure that we know how these things happen and what happened here. And they will find the money. And there are ways you can take dark money, and then because of Nixon, there's ways you can't take dark money, and she's into Nixon dark money. So same thing goes with Manchin. But I don't think Manchin's, he's been stealing for so long. I don't think she's terribly clever. I don't think that, I think she's snide and she's malicious, and she's just one of those little demons that gets sent into our life. I have a friend who lives in Arizona, and she said, that they're just outraged over there.
Yep. She snuck in. For sure.
Okay, I'm trying to see if anybody else has any other fun things. So what other fun stuff you got coming up, girl?
Say that again?
What fun stuff do you have coming up?
On my channel?
Mm-hmm.
What I have, fun stuff that I have coming up, I have Lena tonight.
Oh, cool.
But I'm going to do a tape, and then I'm going to post the video tomorrow. So Lena is really funny. She brings like this great, wonderful energy of cleverness.
Mm-hmm.
Linda's usually with us, but she's kind of busy this month, so I will really capture her next month.
Right.
So it's gonna be Lena and I. I also have, remember the cafe? Oh gosh, I'm going to get this all. The Spiritual Cafe, I think, is the name of the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go and make sure that I have. Well, anyways, we have. I'm going to do a collaboration with Dave, and I'm going to do a collaboration with Tamra, and this I think is going to be next month.
Oh, that's fun.
Spiritual Cafe. If my memory would absolutely work, it would be a blessing.
Yes, well. I gave up on that a long time ago. I write everything down.
I have to. Let's see. There it is. Okay. So the channel is called Spiritual Cafe, and I was actually on their channel.
Mm-hmm.
Go subscribe if you haven't. And they interview a lot of people from the metaphysical world. You will probably be on their list if you haven't already. And what I'm going to do is then bring them onto my channel so that we can get to know Dave and we get to know Tamara a little easier. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm doing that next week. And I'm making videos and posting that. Let's see what else. Not much else right now going on into February.
Well, you've got the newspapers to watch, which the headlines kind of give you a ways up. Someone asked about Putin and war, and I do not sense war.
I think that Biden does something that gains our support and our respect, and Putin does not get into the Ukraine.
Well, Putin's only doing this. My energy around him is that the oligarchs have had it. He's got a short framework to get their money freed up. I mean, their money's been tied up since Trump got elected. And that's the one good thing that Congress did before it completely changed is, and I don't know if most people were probably not even aware of it, but that vote was substantial. I mean, a lot of Republicans said no way. They knew what had happened. And they wanted to freeze them out.
Well, I just get so very, very, very upset about sometimes with politics and knowing what could have happened. But I just want to reiterate, please, when you are thinking about the country and putting that energy out there, that we bring forth we want good leaders.
Right.
We want, all of that good stuff. So.
And the best in yourself. And also, one of the things that Sheila and I have talked about doing a thing on, but unfortunately the guy that I used to meet up on our show with, Sean, he's gone off, he's running 28 congressional campaigns. He's doing the field. He's not doing all the campaigns, and
Oh my
he's
goodness.
going to be all over the country. And he and I were talking about it, and it's a huge push, and they're going into states where they see seats that they can clearly win if they get organized right now. And they should have been organized a year ago, but organized right now. And we're going to see a whole lot of change that way. But if you join a campaign, if you see someone whose thoughts and theories and ideas are okay, go for it. Look at it, and if there's three, and there's going to be a lot of these where there's going to be 3 and 4 and 5 candidates. You pick the one that speaks best to where your heart is. Go for them, and then if they don't win, you still go back and vote in the general election. Don't go home. Well, I'm going to take my baseball and go home. That's the worst thing that can happen to a candidate of all, is to have people just pick up and not vote. Because you can go to your candidate you supported and say, what did you think about this person? Because trust me, when you're running debates with candidates, when you're around there, even if you're not physically in their campaign, if you're running against them, you get a whole sense of how they work. Go and find out and be there for them. I mean, Texas right now, because of the way they've changed the registering for mail-in ballots, even if you've been supposedly by law, if you're 65 and older, you can get a mail-in ballot. Well, now they're pulling this bullshit. You have to remember what ID you used when you registered the first time. Well, baby, I guarantee you, I do not know what ID I used. I've had 3 different names since then. Are you kidding? And so it's kind of nuts, and that's what we're working against here. So Beto was on last night. Oh, by the way, Beto raised more money last week than Abbott.
Yay!
And he's doing it in small donations. That's the other thing. If you see a candidate you like, invest $5 on them. Yeah, don't go to Starbucks. Give them the money, because all of that money is what makes, I know people are like, campaigns seem greedy. It's because it takes so much to make them work.
Yep. And I like the fact that he's on the ground.
Oh, he's never off the ground. Every day I have 4 different locations, and I know how big this state is, and he got from there to there in that much time. I mean, I want to know.
Yeah, he's catnapping like I do.
Yeah, he does.
Survive on catnaps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy for him.
And
I'm so happy. It's so much easier to vote for a candidate when you have literally seen his eyes and felt his energy in front of you. It is so much easier to know exactly what you're dealing with. People don't even know that.
Somebody just asked us about Tony Fauci and the fact that Fox News is trying to criminalize him.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to go down before he does, first of all. That man survived Reagan trying to get rid of him during AIDS. These guys are amateurs compared to what was going on to him then.
You're right.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Unless all these questions that are coming through, unless we're throwing cards on it, it's really hard to really answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that this channel is really to let us know what we can do collectively. It's easy to not like something, but it's a lot harder to contribute your energy to it.
Right.
And when you choose to contribute your energy and you like in that position right there, what you do is, I love Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
I love what he's doing. I enjoy him. He's the truth. That's how you contribute. You can sit on your couch in your pajamas eating popcorn and say, Fauci, I love Fauci. And I send my good, wonderful energy to him.
Right.
It's almost more important than anything.
Well, how many people do you think are sitting on their couches with their footy pajamas on, blessing Tucker Carlson?
Oh, lots of them. That's the reason why we got to counteract that.
No, they're not sending him good light and blessing. They're going, yeah, you're right. Yeah. They're just feeding off anger.
Feeding, yes. So we got to do the opposite, for sure.
Okay. Let's see. That's grassroots support is changing Texas, and I'm excited. Yes, you're absolutely right. I totally agree.
Yeah, I honestly believe that Texas is trying its best to keep anybody and everybody from voting. I mean, it's almost like, how can I put this? They honestly have known Democrats for quite a long time. We're submissive. We can be very submissive.
Mm-hmm.
And so once they say if they deter them a little bit, then voting drops. What we need to do is remember going out there says we're not submissive anymore. We are powerful beings. We have a powerful vote. We have a power in this country that they're going to unexpectedly come across. And this is where I think the biggest awakening for our party has been, is that they have put a fire underneath our butts in order to get out and start fighting for what we really, really, really want in this country. And we want our country to be free. We want our country to be inclusive, not exclusive. We want to be able to teach what we want our children to learn. It's like the whole thing. When a Trump supporter especially comes through media and says you're doing this, this, and this, and this, remember they're just confessing their sins. They're confessing their own actions.
That's
so
right.
Throw that back to them. Says, well, you just told us exactly what your game plan is. It shuts them up. It's unbelievable how they cannot handle the pushback.
Yeah, well, somebody just wrote, why don't politicians sue people who tell lies about them? It's because once you go into politics or once you put your name out in the public sphere, proving that kind of thing is very, very, very difficult. And you're considered, well, you're out here in the public and that's just, quote, their opinion. See, that's the difference why when Fox says they're news and they're not, they're an opinion channel and they throw in a news story occasionally. But that makes it very, very hard. And also, a lot of the games that you hear later where you found out just the last minute this happened around a politician, there's not time to answer it. I had a client that was running for city council, and when her mother was dying in Florida, she'd flown down there to try and take care of her, and they were moving her from the nursing home to the hospital. And this ambulance attendant, her oxygen mask slipped off and her mother couldn't breathe without the oxygen mask going on. And my client said, why aren't you putting my mother's oxygen mask on? And he goes, oh, she's dying anyway. This was her daughter. So the woman was so outraged, and she's a tiny little fiery thing. She slapped him. Yeah. And then that guy tried to sue her for assault, and he didn't lose. It got thrown out of court. They said, you said that to me, and it was my mother. I'd hit you too. Right. So, but they found the story, and this story had happened years ago. They found the story, and 3 days before the final vote, they came out and they said, they published it all up and had a statement from the guy she slapped, and how do you want this person in charge in your city council? She only lost by 27 votes, guys. I mean, this is what's so sad about it. And she lost to a guy who is a frigging idiot. But his campaign had put that out, but there was no time for us to go back and tell the whole story. But what happened is she'd been endorsed by the fire department, which is where our ambulance service runs from in Dallas. So I said, the first thing when I saw the story, I said, we're calling the head of the fire union. We're going to explain to him what the story was. Man, those guys got on the phone and they started calling everybody they knew and saying, continue to support her because this is why we don't have private ambulance service here. This is why we're public servants. And this guy worked he worked in a county where they hire their ambulances. So it's like a whole game we play. That's why I don't read politics. And somebody wants to know if Pelosi's going to retire. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think that woman's immortal.
Come over to my channel and ask those questions. I'll be more than happy to do all of those political readings on my channel. Nancy is just she loves me, but she doesn't like.
You're not politics. You're Sheila. You're love and light and joy.
This is true. Absolutely.
You're creative. What, dear?
Yep.
Okay, I got to mute this for a second. I just got the thing on my bathtub. Okay.
So I can't flush my toilet anymore.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
They've cleaned out they cleaned everything out. There was surprises up there.
We can get through this, and we can get through this without having to be mean and cruel.
You'll need to rinse out your shower because I did clean up. But
I've got a whole special rinse stuff.
The pipe is jank.
Oh crap!
So
Hi, Ua.
Ua's here.
Look at Ua.
Well, you're unmuted still, aren't you?
I know.
And there's
Ua.
your kitty.
That's Ua. Now go away.
No. So when we have the guy come fix my pipe,
Waiting for
don't
me.
need to look at the pipe. For,
He can't fix it. We got to get a real plumber.
okay, well then do you want to get a real plumber to snake my drain too?
Yeah, I'll call
Okay.
Cesar. He's got a friend who's helping him. Okay. Well, that was lovely news.
Figure out where the smoke
We figured out where the smell came from, and we figured out what's leaking in my shower, and you don't want to know.
No, I don't know. I don't want to know. Yeah, that can be awful, especially in Texas.
Yes. Instead of the Republicans doing the S on you, I'm having the upstairs toilet do it, except they blocked it all, so it can't happen anymore.
Oh my goodness.
But we got to get a new toilet thing, so that's good. I mean, at least we know what it is. And it really only showed up a couple days ago, so it's not like
Good.
more. Yes, somebody just put the comment in there. Boop. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. Well, at least it's all going to get taken care of and cleaned up.
I don't think Nancy Pelosi would admit she used an astrologer on a stack of Bibles.
I think she is going to retire, and then, but after the midterms, and making sure that there's plenty of majority there, and she's going to place somebody else in there that is going to be younger and can be there for a lot longer. And I think that's actually going to happen. But you know what? It's the thing is Nancy Pelosi has played a huge play or a huge factor in this whole situation. If it wasn't for her experience, if it wasn't for her knowledge of how to manipulate the game, literally, we would not be where we are. So she played a specific, major role in saving our country, and kudos to her.
And
Of course.
when you see, you should know who your congressmen are. If you haven't figured out yet, Congress is really important. But you should also know everybody down ticket who's running around you in the state. You should know who's on your city council, who's on your school boards. School boards now because they're freaky, scary places that weird people are showing up at. But also school boards because some of the best politicians I've ever worked with started on the school board and then went into state politics. They had a real understanding of the nature of the people.
Yes. Please don't just take the first top two. Always vote down ballot. Always look at the count. And you know what I did? I came across somebody that was on that ballot that I didn't know. I Googled them. Every one of them has a public domain.
Oh, yeah.
You can read up on them, read what they're doing, how they're doing it, anything that it's about that politician, so that you can make a educated vote against them.
Right. And I can tell you from where I live, Beto's campaign is an all-encompassing campaign. So if you get in touch with his people, they will connect you into all the races that are around you, and they will help you, guide you through what you need to know and who to find out about, because they're starting a huge door-to-door campaign walking in Texas. And I ran a campaign for one presidential campaign. We hit 350,000 doors. It's a lot of information you get from that, and that's how you win. Well, okay, somebody wants to know about Feinstein. Yeah, Feinstein really needs to retire before. She's in California. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah, she old.
Aw. And Alex Jones is pleading the fifth. I'm giving you all kinds of topics to talk about later today, Sheila. The problem with politics is it's so easy to hook into. And quite honestly, when I worked in politics a lot, I didn't do much in this part of my world for obvious reasons. One is your campaign manager reads cards. Okay, yeah, sure. But also because I never felt it was really appropriate to what I was doing. But it also distracts you when you work in politics. One of the things I know they tell people in AA when they first get into AA and they're getting rid of that obsession, don't go near political campaigns because it's another rabbit hole that you can climb down.
Absolutely. Well, what can you do? But, today I do the political readings, and I also have a practice of my, my spiritual work as well. And so it's not like that, and this is something that the rabbit hole, right? It's not like that takes over my life, although it's a big portion of my life. I hover I can't explain it. And I mean, I get to the point where like, oh, I don't like that. But I'm hovering enough that I can bring it out and tap into spirit more than I can tap into that.
Yeah.
How else to explain.
I met Sheila before I came online. Matter of fact, she was on me for 6 months. Why aren't you online? Why aren't you online? I built her a grid, and she got to understand the sort of different stuff I work with. And we all have our reason to be here. And one of the things that in some of the ley lines stuff I've been reading is when groups get together, there usually isn't like a leader. There may be someone who knows a little more. Is this a magnetic line? Is this a harmonic line? And, you know, whether it's growing or not. And, of course, people take over lines and watch them and see where they're moving to report into these guys who are trying to figure this all out. But one of the things they said is that when groups form, there's at least 6 in a group. And when they form, people find out they had talents they didn't know they had, and they begin to use them, and other people do other things. And really the only way when they're working with the lines, and don't ask, I don't know enough I know just enough about it to confuse us all terribly. But when they work with the lines, they find out there are people who have certain skills and they didn't even know they had them, and that they need those combined groups. And they said the number 6 was kind of interesting because in Shatra Cathedral, where the labyrinth is, have you ever been there? Okay. The labyrinths were a way for people to do a pilgrimage and not leave their hometown. That's in essence what a labyrinth is. You're praying on the way in, and then you're opening your heart up to God to get the answer on the way out. I love labyrinths. But the labyrinth at Shatra has 6 alcoves around it. And when the labyrinth would be open for people to walk, there would be 6 spiritual people there watching the labyrinth.
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff that reaffirms what we're already sensing, what we're already feeling.
Right. This is true.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Somebody's talking about how much fun.
Sheila? You sound very muffled.
I don't.
That's not good.
No. Okay, and then your sounds like you're. Okay, and. Yes, it depends on the state you're in. Somebody asked if you're in certain states, judges run on party tickets, which I am not terribly in favor of. I think judges should run one against the other and not have the party with them. But of course, they love holding on to judges because there's all kind of money that pours out of law offices. That's one of those scummy little secrets. But you can find out what a judge is doing. I mean, that's really, it is not all that hard. And, you know, judges are another place. Well, people become judges because they're judges and they're lawyers, but they can be very functional and useful and helpful. And Texas took over one of our state appellate courts. You know, the Dems took it over by running them as a slate of 8. And judges are really, they can allow to run under political umbrella. Not necessarily, I mean, slate of 8 was pushing it a little bit, but it worked, and people learned to vote down ballot and how to find them. So,
yes, absolutely.
And if you don't like political parties, there is Indivisible, which is absolutely brilliant, and it's a group of people that get together, and they come from the Indivisible statements about our country, and they help guide you, and they help, if you go to their sites, they can tell you who's floating around you. Sheila and I have done a couple shows on this before, so I'm really interested in getting more people, especially more spiritual people, out in this world because it helps.
Yeah, I agree.
And your hands won't fall off from all the dirt you pick up being around politics. I promise you. I still have 2 hands.
It's right. So what we got? Okay, what I'm going to do is, you want to pull a card? I'm going to pull a card from the color deck for closing out the candles. Okay.
And I want to remind people to please go follow the Facebook links to my second cousin's art thing, Kim, and her mother Barb is my cousin. And look at their stuff. I think it's fun, it's engaging, and it's a place where we can put our energy too. Okay. And I pulled blue.
Ooh.
Blue, activate your healing power,
Yes.
which is what we all need to do at this point in time.
And I pulled support from my butterfly deck.
Oh, cool.
Support you, support people, support your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
support your positive actions. And when you are placing support, make sure that it's on the higher end of the scale of energy.
That's right. If you're going to spend your time doing something, you may as well do it right.
Exactly. Okay.
And blue is like activates our healing power, increases vitality, has a calming effect on the people who feel nervous, manic, or overexcited. It contains an antiseptic quality that heals burns, stops bleeding, relieves fever. Blue also increases our metabolism. We can all use that at this time, I tell you. Use the blue sword of light to assist you in healing your own body.
I agree.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here with the 9 candles. I will show you the candles one more time. They are still here. Okay. It takes a little bit for it to warm up and takes a little bit for it to run from the room to. There it is. Ta-da! Candles. And I want to thank everyone who came for the 9 days. I want to thank Sheila especially for coming on the last day and helping me wrap it up. Because by the 9th day on this, guys, I'm pretty brain dead. So she's doing a great job of helping me vamp through this. And I want to thank each and everyone who's come, everybody who's contributed. Remember, Sheila has, in the information below is how to reach her for a reading, and the information below is how to reach me for a reading. I've got a whole bunch of people who decided, oh my God, it is the end of January. I better rush if I'm going to get my 2022 reading. And we're getting lots of thank yous about what we've done, and I couldn't be happier than to have Sheila here for the last day and to talk about this fun stuff. Even the other stuff's fun. It's just not my bag.
Yes. Yep.
But, and I will tell you, watching Sheila work is always a delight, and I watch her shows. And I will be back again on Thursday with another new creator named Gina Orstano, who's just started a Facebook page about healing, self-healing, and creating a collective group like what we've been talking about building all week. So I look forward to seeing everyone then, and I will put out